Hey guys, we have an amazing banner weekend this week, and I want to break it down for you guys and try to give you guys some advice on how to summon as someone who has in fact used all three of the new heroes coming. And we also have a limited hero selector banner. Now, I really need to emphasize that I have used these guys because on paper they seem very good, but using them, it's a bit of a different story, and I'm gonna go over that very briefly in a moment. As you can see, we still need to get the names and the descriptions here. If you want to know what they do, what you're going to be summoning for ahead of time, I have showcase videos on all three of these guys. Solaris, Skyer, Janus Grismore, whether I'm saying that right or not, and then Orin as well. I don't know why they don't have these yet, but regardless, either way, these are there's a lot of stuff happening, basically, is all I'm trying to say. And let's go into it. So starting off, the main highlight this weekend is going to be Orin. Orin is a must pull in my opinion, and this is probably the most important part of this video. Is Orin worth pulling even if you're missing heroes like Ingrid, like Pope, like Valara? It's a hard question, but I'm going to give my 2 cents. Now, don't take this as fact. This is just my opinion. Orin is one of the strongest AoE damage dealers in the entire game, bar none, right? The only people I would say that come close are Ezreath and Valise comboed together. Even then, their damage output is lower. Valara damage output for specifically AoE ground content is actually, in my opinion, lower. I do think he does a little bit more damage, but Valara is just all around better because she hits air, she has crowd control. Orin just does damage, right? And he's a solid lord. And then Neja is also pretty similar in terms of output, right? But regardless, throughout all of that, Orin is still one of the strongest damage dealers in the game. And especially if you're earlier on, you may even be able to use him in single target content. If you're still progressing in the game, he still hits air on one of his attacks, which is called anathema, whatever you want to call it. He can still hit air, so he's a great progression unit, and even late game, he's going to be out damaging most things for AoE content, right? When it comes to AoE Arena, when it comes to Guild versus Guild, when it comes to progressing in Gear Aid 1 and Gear Aid 2, when it comes to Matrix, oh my goodness, Matrix, he is going to be huge for Matrix. And they are actually buffing Matrix. By buffing, I mean they're making it easier to get higher scores. With Orin and the changes, I fully expect that we're going to break through that 300k mark at the highest levels. And a lot of people, all of these people here, without changing anything and without even using Orin, will probably be able to get 250k. Very quickly, editor's note, the changes that are coming, basically when you have higher stacks and you kill a mob, it will give you a higher score instead of it just raising the stats, so making it harder to kill things. So the ending is going to give more points. Essentially, it's a simplified version, so keep that in mind. You add Orin into the mix, well, these scores that are like 100k, the max scores that we've gotten, which are like 110, 114k, is now going to be above 140, above 150 after the changes and Orin coming out, right? So he's going to transform Matrix a ton alongside this change that's coming out, right? So he is going to be huge in a lot of areas where you need a strong damage dealer. Not only that, Praetus honestly is just used for his Lord bonus now, and he has the same buff for his Lord bonus. There's nothing you could say that would make him not seem like an overpowered unit. The main question though is he worth pulling even if you don't have Valara? Now, it's a hard call and there is no right answer in my opinion. I'm just gonna say I would recommend pulling Orin. The thing is, we have Valara here, who's one of the strongest heroes in the game, but for a lot of what Valara is used for, you can get okay results with Orin. You're not going to get similar results in air content, you're not going to get the same level of crowd control or getting the ult back or whatever, and Valara is still a lot better. But let's take Maloric Halls for example. Maloric Halls is one of the areas where you need Valara in the most. You don't need Valara if you have Orin, because he will do enough damage on the bottom, right? In guild versus guild, you can still... I wouldn't really recommend running Orin if you don't have Valara, actually, in guild versus guild. It's probably not a good example. My point is, he does a lot of what she does, and he's a lord. So I would still say he's worth picking up instead of saving, because he is quite good. The thing is, I do think Valara is still better. So it is, once again, a hard decision. Valara is transformative. Valara, in my opinion, is still the best AoE damage dealer in the entire game. She has everything. There's almost no way to make her better, right? So if you want to save for Valara, I'm not going to fault you for that. The thing is, we don't know when Valara is going to be reran. We had a banner, I wouldn't say like super recently, but we definitely had a banner like maybe like a month ago or so, if my memory serves me right. So it'll be a little while until she comes back. So you could always, you know, if you're close to Lord Pity, try your hand at getting Orin. If you don't get him, save the rest of your summons. Keep in mind, we are getting a non-Lord Ancient Pity in, I think, 5 or so days. So that'll be huge. That'll allow you to have better chances to pull her. I think it's a hard call. In my opinion, what I would recommend is try to pull him. Maybe don't drain everything, but maybe try to get your pity going if you're anywhere near. That's my thoughts on Orin. I think Orin is a must pull in general. And now let's talk about the other new heroes before I talk about the... let's do the limited banner first. Pull on the limited banner. That's my advice. I mean, the main issue is figuring out who to pick. And I do have a video on that going over it. Basically, what you want to use this as is an opportunity. And it's an opportunity because these limited heroes basically are never ran, right? Kagiri has not been rerun a single time, right? So if you want to get a limited hero like Kagiri, like Gwendolyn, like Reeve, you know, whether you have a bunch of limiteds or you don't have a bunch of limiteds, this is like the only chance you're gonna get to even get the base copies. And if you skip this banner at all, you will no longer be able to get that chance. They run these so infrequently, or I guess it's every couple months now, but they don't run these very often, you know? So you have to grab the opportunity by the throat and strangle it, you know? You just gotta take it. So even if you're not really too into getting Gwendolyn, if you have no Gwendolyn, just do the 200 pulls. These banners are guaranteed to have the champion after 200 summons. And not only that, you can pity swap, where you get pretty far along summoning for the limited, and then you can stop, use the pity that you have on a different banner, and then go back to the limited banner. Which, I mean, alone is like 2 legendaries for the price of 1. That alone makes it worth it, let alone getting the limiteds, right? Gwendolyn is not great, but in Matrix, and especially Gear Dungeon 3, she is now very good, and she got buffed and never got reran, right? As an example. So if you just are missing something, maybe you want some awakenings, take your chance and always, always, always pull on these limited banners when they come up. Because what if Lush gets buffed in the future and she's the only one you're missing and you have everything else, and then you picked her just because, oh, at least I'll have her. You know what I mean? It's always just when they give you the opportunity, take the freaking opportunity. You know what I'm saying? That's my thoughts on the limited banner. Everyone should be pulling on that, no matter what you pick, right? Pick something. It doesn't matter that much, unless you're like missing a big glaring thing. It just depends on your account. Watch a who to pick limited video, and hopefully that'll help you make your decision. Or maybe it's been made already, right? Maybe you're missing Diao-chan. Anyways, we get to this banner. Now, the main thing I will say about this banner that I think is good is they released 2 new heroes, Janus Grismore and Solaris Skyer. And no matter what you think about them, if you think they're overpowered, if you think they're weak, they are on the same banner, which is really good. A lot of the time, they release a new hero, and they pair it with someone else who's kind of unrelated, who either you don't care about, or, you know, you just don't want to pull. And then with the progressive pity system in the game, you're not gonna have a guaranteed chance of having it apply to one of the banner heroes. Now, you actually will be able to, because both of these guys are on the same banner. I think that's really good, and I definitely like that they did that. Now, when it comes to these heroes, what do I think about them? I think they are flawed and they don't have a place in the game right now, but they may in the future. A lot of the time what this game does is they sell the heroes before the content, right? Gear Dungeon 3, Gretchen was sold before we even knew Gear Dungeon 3 was out. Gretchen's freaking overpowered, right? As an example. So you gotta kind of predict things sometimes in this game, and I think this girl will be very good in the future. Now, they do have some glaring issues now. Let's start with Solaris. Solaris has really mediocre damage. He does not do enough damage. Now, if you let him do 3 entire ult cycles, he does okay damage, but he can't really be used in Matrix without the A5, which is already a waste, and he isn't really going to be super valuable in a lot of content, because why would you use him despite the fact that he can hit anywhere on the map? Why would you use him over someone who just does better? You know what I mean? So for progression, this guy's going to be ridiculously good, in my opinion. He does crowd control, he does decent damage, he does both types of damage. That's very cool. But at the end of the day, there's just better options, right? So I don't recommend pulling for him at all. And then with Janus, her damage is actually really good. If you are progressing through the game and you need single target damage, she's going to be amazing. But she has a couple glaring issues. Number one, her main damage comes from her phoenixes. Basically, she puts down eggs, then she can spawn phoenixes after a certain amount of time beyond that. And the phoenixes cannot die until you use her ult, and her ult will kill them, okay? Her phoenixes are a large part of her damage. And in her ultimate, I know I can't show it off here, but in her ultimate, she kills all the phoenixes, and the amount of phoenixes she killed do a lot of damage. They amplify her damage. There's a couple issues with this. Her main mechanic is she does buff dispel. She's designed for Gear Dungeon 3, and then her eggs can die. So this causes 2 issues. First of all, she's an infernal unit, and she does do good single target damage, right? But she needs to be with infernals. What is an area of the game that infernals are very good in? Abyss, boss content like this. What is the issue here? You take continuous AoE damage. So what ends up happening is you basically can never spawn any phoenixes, which means that her ult does no damage and she does no damage, right? So where you have to use her with infernals, she's awful, right? She just doesn't work. And then the other thing is Gear Dungeon 3, infernals are awful, okay? They do not do enough damage for this content unless you're before stage like 8, right? Beyond that, they just don't really work unless you have crazy awakenings, and at that point, use something else. You know what I'm saying? And without infernals, her damage is kind of abysmal. And to have her be a buff dispeller is really good. And it's great for the earlier stages. Once you get past those to the harder stages, you need the damage dealer, and she just doesn't do the damage without infernals, right? So her design, how she works, goes against how her faction works, and how she works goes against how her faction works. So she doesn't have a place. But there is something I do need to mention, which is there is a new Infernal Lord coming out eventually. We don't know when. It's projected to be this year. And that means that she may be really good, and they may design new content that works with her, or they may buff her or rework her because she's not that great, purely because of her mechanics clashing. If her mechanics do not clash, her damage output is actually very good. She does a lot of burning, and she works very well as an Infernal. It's just mechanically, she doesn't function properly. And if they change that, she'll be good. So personally, if you have the summons to spare, I would try to pick up 1 copy of her just so you have her, and if she does become good in the future, you're not too upset. And also it marks it off your nascent. Keep in mind, these are both on the same banner. If you want to get the progressive going, you can pick up at least one of these to mark it off your nascent, make it easier to get the other one on your nascent, or get someone maybe you want a little bit more, like an airless or something, right? Just as an example. I'm tentatively saying summon on this banner, but if you don't have a ton of summons, you can skip it. It's fine, right? Don't feel FOMO for going for heroes that aren't gonna help you out that much. But if you do have a place in the game where you want to use these guys, absolutely go for it. It is completely up to you. Now, the main thing I gotta say after this. I know I've yapped a lot, but there's an Assassin's Creed collab projected to be coming this year, and they said it would be Q2. I do not know when it is coming out, but they will most likely spring it on us and then have a ton of heroes coming out. If you want to prepare for that, I would say summon for Orin, and maybe just be mindful of conserving a little bit of your resources so you don't get blindsided. I do not know any information about what is coming with that, when it is coming, apart from it being quote unquote tier 2. And aside from that, you know, just keep in mind that may be coming, and I don't want to take responsibility if it catches people off guard. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind. Anyways, that's my breakdown. That's what I would recommend. Let me know what you guys are thinking of summoning on. I may make a video going over my pulls, because I'm definitely very interested in what I'm gonna get. I have a lot of ancients saved up, and I'm very excited and very scared. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. Have a good rest of your day or night or whatever it is where you are, and Destined signing out.